rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending. Presented by BYU Food to Go, the MVP of your next event. We just went through the NFL headlines featuring all of those outstanding former BYU football players doing their thing at the next level. It has been a remarkable season, and we've said on the show, I keep using the phrase, it's been the superlative season for former Cougars because you've got arguably the best linebacker in the game in Fred Warner. You've got two running backs.
No one here is
now,
arguing that.
Okay, two running backs in Jamal Williams and Tyler Allgeier that eclipse 1,000 yards. That had never happened before. You have the most unique player in the league in Taysom Hill, just with how versatile he is and what the Saints ask him to do. You got the most talked about player in the NFL probably in Zach Wilson.
You got the best coach in Andy Reid.
And you got the best coach.
Hall of Fame coach.
It's been an incredible run. Oh, and then there's, Kyle Van Noy has won a couple of Super Bowls and Michael Davis.
Chargers are a 4 seed. They got a shot.
Jarom, is this the most relevant as a whole that BYU has ever been in the National Football League?
I mean, you could argue in the social media era, yes, because they obviously didn't have that. But in the 80s, in the heyday of BYU football, where it won a national championship and it was about to have a Heisman Trophy winner early in the next decade, I looked specifically in the 80s to just see what it looked like. Obviously, you and I are little kids at that point. 1987 was by far the most relevant year in BYU football history. This year was tremendous for all the reasons you outlined, which, by the way, Jamal Williams leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
He not only breaks Barry Sanders' record, needs a 17th game to do it. Let's not, forget that, hey, there's an extra game. But gets it done. You play the schedule you have. But 1987, let me walk you through. 3 starting quarterbacks in the league. 3. So we had 1 and we were excited, right? Mark Wilson with the Raiders, Jim McMahon with the Bears, and then Steve Young was with Tampa Bay, soon to be with the Niners, of course. Todd Christensen is coming off 980-plus receiving yards the last 4 years.
He's an all-pro tight end.
He had been all-pro in 83 and 85. Vaisika Hema is first-team all-pro in 87 as a punt returner. Bart Oates, starting center for the Giants. Kurt Govea is with Washington. He's about to go to
win a
the Super Bowl that year. Jason Buck and Leon Wider with Cincinnati. Tom Holmoe's with the Niners. Todd Shell's with the Niners. Trevor Maddich is in New England. Lee Johnson is punting. You literally had guys everywhere doing something. Glenn Kozlowski's with the Bears, and so on and so forth. 1987 is the top of the mountain. You have 3 starting quarterbacks. Like, that piece alone probably puts you over the top. And if Zach Wilson had like an amazing season and the Jets are in the playoffs, maybe there's an argument. But I just think coming out of the incredible 79-85 for BYU.
You won a national championship.
In 87, you have all these guys almost in the NFL, plus a few others like Todd Christensen from the right before 79. So I'm going to go with specifically 1987. But what BYU did in the NFL this year, and is still doing in the playoffs, this could be capped off with another Super Bowl for, let's be honest, Fred Warner with the Niners, amazing, as the 2 seed, I think, right? And then, of course, the Chiefs are awesome. Maybe somebody else. But what BYU is doing now is awesome. Because if I'm Harvey Unga, I am using this the next couple of weeks before signing day going, look what we've done. We have Jamal Williams and Tyler Allgeier, 2,000-yard guys. There are 3 schools that produced multiple 1,000-yard rushers in the NFL. Alabama did 3, Penn State did 2, and BYU. This is QBU. We love our running backs, though, and you look at these numbers. Georgia, of course, as well. You forget that Justin Fields, I guess, did it as a quarterback. Okay, just any 1,000-yard rusher. There you go. That is an incredible graphic, and what BYU did to be relevant. Jamal Williams and the Lions were awesome. Like, it's almost a bummer they're not in the playoffs.
I told you. I'm so bummed they're not.
Not at the sacrifice of my Seahawks, but I would have loved for them to be in the playoffs.
They're
so hot right now.
They're the most likable team in the league.
Hansel, so hot right now. That's the Lions. But just awesome to see that in every facet of the game. It's not like it's just offense or just players even, right? Andy Reid and Fred Warner are the best at their positions. Jamal was the best at scoring touchdowns, rushing in the NFL. This was pretty unique in that regard.
That's what makes it different than 1987, is the superlatives. The most, the best, the number 1, the most unique.
Ramsey's the number 1.
87 is just overall goodness, right? There's just so much BYU spread across the NFL. And, Govea was a fantastic linebacker. He won a Super Bowl that year. But in that age, was Jim McMahon the best quarterback? No, neither was Mark Wilson. Steve Young was not, the best yet. He had to wait until 1994 to get to that level and, punctuate his Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, 92 it was NFL MVP, I think,
yes,
too, right?
okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying, punctuate the Hall of Fame career. You win the Super Bowl, you're an MVP again. So there was a little bit of time that had to take place, but, just from a sheer standpoint of, body of work, 87 was incredible, yes. But BYU is unique this year with the superlatives. It's just the players that are in the league and are getting attention are the most. They're just at the top of their game. So literally, right? Jamal, nobody scored more touchdowns than Jamal Williams. When you break Barry Sanders' record, regardless, if it took an extra week, whatever, even if he only finished with 15 in 16 weeks and it's one behind Barry Sanders,
it was awesome.
It's an unforgettable season. Tyler Allgeier got kind of a slow start to a season. So for him to do what he did after not being the lead back to begin with is remarkable, right? He surpassed Cordero Patterson, and he needed to have a big day to get those 1,000+ yards. And not just that, so he eclipses that mark, but then he gets 35 more to become the all-time leading rookie rusher in Falcons history. So it's unique in the fact that BYU and the players that we're talking about right now in this era are at the top of their game. The fact that BYU has Fred Warner in the league, and that alone is awesome, right? Best linebacker.
He's the best defensive player in the NFL from BYU ever.
Yeah, who's better than Fred?
No one's been all-pro defensively from BYU. He did it a couple years ago.
Yeah, not even Jason Bucker-Kirkavea, right?
They were very good. They weren't the best player.
They weren't the best player at their position in the league. So
Fred is the greatest defensive player.
It is very unique.
In the NFL.
And I do love the social media age, and we're not going to get lost in recency bias because.
And that's why I say 87, Spence, because your point is super valid. I just want it because if you're at BYU right now, you don't know who Leon White is. You just don't. And we cannot forget the past, right? Otherwise, we're doomed to repeat it. But the past was awesome for BYU. Oh, I hope to repeat that in the Big 12. And the fact that BYU is doing this now is awesome because guess what? We used to say with BYU, well, I don't know if the draft matters, we're here to win games. Broncos, sometimes it felt like, it's not my job necessarily. Yes, it is. It is BYU's job to get the best players in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know why, Kingsley Suamataia comes here? Because he thinks he could make it in the NFL as a first, second rounder. Because he looked at Brady Christensen in the 2020 season he had. Certainly, Zach Wilson would have helped this conversation. He was extremely relevant in terms of conversation. A lot of talk about Zach. Hopefully he finds his way still. But this is QBU. BYU's got to get Jaron in the league, and they will. Hopefully Jaron finds some success. Hopefully Keaton Slovis is in the NFL in a year and a half from now.
Can he become another former BYU quarterback to get to the league?
Taysom Hill certainly carved out the most unique spot in almost NFL history for himself. This has been awesome. BYU should and needs to use these as recruiting pitches to say, listen, we're just getting going. We weren't even a Power 5 team yet, and look at what we did. Now put us in a Power 5, increase the money, the facilities, continued exposure with ESPN and Fox. And where can we go from here? Jamal Williams is a kid, not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, young black kid, comes to BYU at 17, and BYU puts his arms around him. He puts his arms around BYU, and both have benefited in an amazing way. Same with Tyler Allgeier, walk-on, not a member of the church, and he comes here, and he is 100% a Coug and amazing, and it's fun to watch them succeed. If I'm Harvey Unga, I am in running back potential recruits' houses saying, look at these two guys. They got 1,000. These guys Jamal came to BYU with some excitement. Tyler came with no excitement, was literally Ubering to Walmart to make ends meet, playing defense for BYU a little bit. And look at what these guys have done. This is a credit first to them, and second to their families and the coaches. And it's just, today's a day of celebration as a BYU fan. To see these guys succeed in that way, and we're certainly excited because they're BYU guys.
What is relevance? It's being talked about.
So Zach is the most relevant BYU football player.
So, because if we're answering the question just straight up, is this the most relevant, the most talked about?
Relevant to me also means it matters.
In the NFL.
It matters.
So as cool as it was, I'm sure, to be written about in the New York Times and newspapers back in the late 80s, the social media game has changed everything, right?
Well, then there's nothing
would BYU have been
2009 then?
Would BYU have been as talked about in 1987 with those players and the three quarterbacks?
If we had BYU Sports Nation in 1987, I think we would have liked it quite a bit.
We would have loved it for sure,
and you would have recorded it on your VHS at home.
Like the personalities matter is what I'm getting at. Like it just because Jamal is who he is, and Tyler comes from the story that he did, and Zach Wilson is who he is, and Andy Reid is who he is. They're talked about more. So they're not just talked about in the BYU circles, and like these are main storylines.
I don't know what
the
Detroit Free Press was writing in 1987.
Everybody's talking about Jamal, is my point, because he is who he is. LeBron James takes to Twitter last night and says straight up, I love this guy. I love this kid so much. So dope. Yeah. You have a fan in me, Jamal, quote tweeting his walk-off interview, right?
Yeah, and shout out to Jamal's family because his great-grandfather died, we learned. He was extremely emotional after the game about that.
Yeah. So, again, I don't want to get lost in recency bias, but because Jamal is who he is and the players are who they are, it just feels like they're being talked about more. But, again, it's a different age. It's hard to compare. It's 35 years ago in 1987.
But we have an hour to fill on a Monday.
Different media, obviously. So it's a fun conversation. Is this the most talked about BYU has ever been in the NFL?
Was that the question?
Relevant. Well, I'm saying relevance is being talked about, right? That's what I'm saying.
Relevance to me also means it matters.
Yeah.
If you're relevant, you matter.
Our voice of the nation with this question of the day now is this. Is this the most relevant BYU has ever been in the NFL? At Playoff Bogey on Twitter answers, most relevant was obviously the Steve Young era. He's the most relevant player BYU's ever had.
Yeah, like when he's winning the Super Bowl, everybody knows him.
For sure.
BYU, and he's the culmination. Like Ty is the collegiate culmination of BYU quarterbacks.
Steve's the NFL.
Steve is the pro football
individual
culmination.
Individual
of quarterbacks.
Yes. Yeah. Collectively, Playoff Bogey is saying this is the most relevant BYU's ever been at multiple positions on multiple teams. So many guys are killing it in the NFL right now, and it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah, it's great to have done it in multiple times, right? This isn't the first time BYU's had this situation, right? As we chronicled. In the 80s, BYU had a ton of dudes doing awesome stuff.
For sure. Great, like a lot of really good players in 1987. Just a ton of good players.
And 10% of the league was a starting BYU quarterback.
There are fewer players now compared to 87 that BYU has in the league now, but those players are doing like greater things than the collective was doing in 1987 per se. So it's a unique conversation there. Really fun. It's great to be great in multiple eras.
Yeah, it's awesome. And one day we'll get to Alabama status. Let's keep going. Okay.